to prove it, I'm ready to do it, I can't be afraid now. Put me on the stage now, I'm ready to rage now. I feel like an animal stuck in a cage and I'm ready to break out. My time, none of you people can tell me to stop. This time, like the last time, you better get ready to race to the top. I'm ready to do this, show you what the truth is. I step on the field, it's time to get real, I'm feeling so ruthless. My time, none of you people can tell me to stop. Lower the lights down, hand over my crown, hand over my heart. I do this for my town, I do this for my crowd. So turn me up real loud. My time, none of you people can tell me to stop. Yeah. So what are you afraid of? Those feelings are made of. Get in the game, your moment of fame, show them what you made of. It's time that we stand up, it's time that we man up. For anyone asking who is the best, we putting our hands up. My time, nothing can keep me from reaching the top. This time, like the last time, I'm moving so fast, I'm ready to ride. I'm ready to throw down, it's time for the showdown. I'm ready to rise, don't be surprised, I'll take on the world now. My time, none of you people can tell me to stop. Lower the lights down, hand over my crown, hand over my heart. I do this for my town, I do this for my crowd. So turn me up real loud. My time, none of you people can tell me to stop. My time, none of you people can tell me to stop. My town, my crown, we know what it takes to be reaching the top. We're reaching the top, we're reaching the top. We know what it takes to be reaching the top. My time, none of you people can tell me to stop. My town, my crown, we know what it takes to be reaching the top. We're reaching the top, we're reaching the top. We know what it takes to be reaching the top. Lower the lights down, hand over my crown, hand over my heart. I do this for my town, I do this for my crowd. So turn me up real loud. My time, none of you people can tell me to stop. Turning the track up, I'll never go back down. Hand over my heart, I do this for my town, I do this for my crowd. So turn me up real loud. My time, none of you people can tell me to stop.
This is the original esport racing game. This is iRacing.
The road from virtual to reality starts here, where from the virtual Thompson Raceway Motorsports Park, we say good evening, sim racing fans, and welcome to the third race of the playoffs in this 2019 eNASCAR Ignite Series, powered by iRacing. Happy that you're with us, as always, on RaceSpot TV and the iRacing Esports Network. Myself, Evan Pasoko, Justin Prince, upstairs with you with our director, Randy Cheneth. And welcome to the third race of the playoffs, Justin, to come on off of another exciting one just a week ago, where we saw Parker Retzlaff go 2 for 2, taking home the win at Bristol. And now we are 2 down, 2 to go in determining our 30-car field at a race for it all later this year in Martinsville.
Yes, the pressure is on for many of the drivers, but you referred to Retzlaff having a dominant postseason so far. A perfect 80 for 80 laps led in his heat races and features so far. The thing is, there's a chance that changes tonight. This is a very fun but demanding racetrack here at Thompson that will see a lot of drivers battling the throttle and potentially carrying high speeds as high as about 140 plus miles an hour heading to the corners.
And of course, a different racetrack this evening with Thompson. We've been at the big tracks, the Richmonds, the Bristols, and I mean, technically Thompson a little bit bigger than that, but this is what these guys have been racing on all season long. Again, they had to go from a field of nearly 400 drivers to get into these playoffs, and they are all fighting for a $10,000 racing scholarship, a test day, and a Legends car, and the NASCAR Pinty Series car, and so much more. But if you've been tuning in with us through these playoffs, you know that it is heat racing style, so it starts at the top of the night, Justin. And for the drivers who have yet to make a main event so far, only 23 have done it in the opening 2 weeks. Now's the time to kick it into gear.
Absolutely, you want to at least make one to help your point situation, but you never know who's going to end up making these next couple races, because today's a bit of a wild card, with it being a very much so driver's track with how these cars are set up for tonight. It's going to be curious to see who's going to be able to put themselves in contention for that big prize and huge opportunity that can jumpstart anybody's career.
And Thompson, obviously an iconic racetrack, playing host to this third race. And I did want to add some context as well to the point I made there about the drivers and having to qualify into the main events, because just as we've described so far this season, there is a big difference between qualifying for the main event or not. So as we watch the highlights from last week's exciting race at Bristol, where Retzlaff again took home his second of the year, right now we have had 23 drivers make the main event so far. J. Mitchell Adams is 23rd in the points. He's got 40 points. Reese Bayham, the first driver who has not made a feature, he only has 13 points in 24th. So if you're sitting P24 to P30 in the points right now, all you gotta do is make a main event. It can jump way up there. Now, if we get into next week, say 7 drivers who haven't made a main so far do tonight, then somebody's gonna be bumped. But at least at the moment, if you've just made a main event, you're in a very good points position. So if you have not done it yet, like I said, we're halfway there. Only tonight, and at only the contest next week when we go racing at New Hampshire Motor Speedway to get the job done. The line could get a lot more fuzzy on that cut line next week, but objective this evening, make the main event. If you haven't done it by next week, then you are really going to be in a tough position.
Absolutely right now, because it is a more than 20-point differential between making the feature and not making it. And really, it goes down to, first off, the qualifying. But for second, A lot of drivers have been overdriving the race cars in some cases and putting themselves in potentially bad situations. It's hard to cut through the field when you have to start at the last place positions in a heat race. So that is something that a few of the drivers I spoke with, guys like Laprade, Riley, Thompson, of course Thompson amongst the drivers yet to make a feature after being one of the returnees in 2019's postseason, they feel they needed to settle on down and focus on the big picture to be able to set some good times and put themselves in a position to contend in the heat races to then try and lock themselves up into the feature, because as we've seen with the format, if you end up in an LCQ, Evan, you essentially have to be a win and you're in, and it is extremely difficult with what we've seen, especially with what we've seen at Bristol with how crazy it can get.
Yeah, top 3 make it in from each of our 5 heat races. You mentioned the LCQs. Everybody else gets dumped into those 2. And again, only the winner of each LCQ will advance, moving on to make it to a 17-car main grid. But the qualifying session, as you just noted, has drawn to a close, and cars are on track at Thompson. So let's go trackside and take a look at your Race Spot TV starting grid for race number 1 of the night. Lucas Cram, best of them all. He's the only driver to get down to a 17-8 in the qualifying session, so he'll be on to pole position for this one, and Dylan Alt will be on the outside of the front row for heat race 1 starting in second. Briar Laprade starts in third for this one, with Michael Bumgarner in 4th position and Caden Rush inside of row 3 in P5.
Mitchell Adams starts in 6th position tonight with Dominic Howell in the 7th spot. He'll start alongside Steven Rosales, with Sean Leisure rounding out the 9 drivers and heat race number 1 tonight.
As they roll at Thompson, we get set to go racing 10 laps around this 5/8 of a mile speedway. Of course, when you look at it from the top, similar to maybe a Martinsville that we'll see later on this season, but this is heat race number 1. 5 heat races due up, qualifying all based, of course, on the qualifying session that just wrapped up. 9 drivers you see on the racetrack right now. The top 3 get that ticket punched into the feature. 4th out of back will go to the LCQ. We'll talk more about those a little bit later on this evening, but it is simple. These heat races, 10 laps, 3 cars move on. Everybody else gets in an awfully desperate position, and qualifying, we have learned, is oh so critical in these races when you're talking about just how fast these short sprints get done early on in the evening. But lights are out on top of the iRacing.com pace car, and we're happy that you're with us as always. It's a Thursday night for eNASCAR action on Race Spot TV and the iRacing Esports Network. It is going to be Lucas Cram in control for heat race number 1. Let's go racing at Thompson. Underway to turn 1 and side by side already for the transfer spot.
And as you can see, a lot of drivers already jumping up towards that middle to high line. That's the preferred place a lot of drivers are forward to heading in tonight's race, to try and let the car roll in, then try and launch off the corner to try and maintain position. It's going to be interesting to see who can manage the throttle though, Evan, because a lot of drivers mentioned there's the chance you can plow if you get too early in the gas and then potentially snap loose on the exit.
We saw that the first time through 1 and 2. You could see a couple of cars way up against the wall. One of them was Michael Bumgarner, who was challenging for that 3rd spot on the outside of Laprade, but just couldn't make it work up there. He got it passed by Caden Rush, so the 8 car goes 5th to 4th, and he'll now be the one to challenge Laprade for the final transfer position in 3rd spot. But single file all the way through the field. J. Mitchell Adams, also a driver who had some issues early. The 32 car's gone backwards. He'll get into the 20, so they're beating and banging top to bottom here. The race leader, single file, but not that far apart from one another at lap 4.
And Laprade out, almost bobbled his way towards the inside grass off of turn 2 last time through. So these drivers are starting to get a little snappy here. They just got to make sure they keep it nice and calm and gentle. If they push too much, they might end up roaring off the races. This time, much more settled down as they nearly lost to the back of the field.
You are starting to see a little bit of separation as those cars at the back really start to struggle. Steven Rosales, the 20 of Sean Leisure, they're fighting for 7 back, and they're now 2 point somewhat seconds off of the race leader. So you can really just watch what's going on up front. Still Lucas Cram leading from pole. We get no changes 1, 2, and 3 with Cam, Alt, and Laprade in those transfer spots. But if on that 4 machine, I'm not all that comfortable. 4 more laps to go at Thompson, and the 8 car is only about a car length off my bumper.
Yeah, he said coming into tonight, actually, that he felt worried, actually, after what happened at Bristol. Felt he had good pace, but didn't have the performance to show for it since he chose the bottom line rather than the top line, as you've seen him pass last week on that line. So he doesn't want to see the same results tonight, but he also expected the bumper. That might be out the window as Rush got loose.
It's a big mistake. It is going to be difficult for the 8 car to make that one up, and maybe nearly impossible. 2 laps to go. The 19 car of Bumgarner is going to fight on him if neither of those drivers can get it on contact. The 8 car Rush just got sent. Caden Rush going to be turned as Bumgarner sends him around in 1 and 2. Again, no cautions in these heat races, so we will go on without him. And Lucas Cram, the number 7 car, takes the white flag. Last lap for these top 3. Dylan Alt on the bumper. He'll get sideways as he took a swipe for the race lead. If they're smart, they'll just take it easy in 3 and 4. And it looks like that'll be the case. Lucas Cram goes pole to checker. He wins heat race number 1. Dylan Alt finishes in 2nd, and again, no changes. Briar LaPrade able to hang on to 3rd, Justin, and they are moving on to the feature.
Michael Bumgarner finished off in 4th, Sean Leisure 5th, Mitchell Adams in 6th, Dominic Howell comes away in 7th, Caden Rush and Steven Rosales round out the top 9. A lot of drivers probably saying what if after some of those mistakes, Evan.
Well, it just shows you that the start of the race is going to be also critical, so that's the finishing order for heat race number 1. Ready to rock and roll for heat race 2 down trackside now. Hunter Johnson will start this one from pole position, and it is a teammate front row as he's joined by the number 6 machine of Aaron Mulrooney Jr. in P2. Austin Edwards, another returning driver, 3rd position. Presley Sora starts in 4th, and Riley Thompson looking to get the race win tonight. He'll end up P5.
Jackson Crowder will start in 6th position tonight, the outside of row 3. Sean Wisnowski alongside Emmanuel Wolf in row number 4. Rounding out the 9 drivers in heat race 2, Preston McNeil. Those are your 9 drivers in heat race number 2. And as we've seen, Evan, a lot of intense racing at this historic racetrack so far. The question is, how is it going to handle this time by? Because I think there's a lot of hungry drivers that are going to want Austin Edwards' position by the checker flag in this one.
We saw what we saw for the get-go, as well as we see the track temps and all that good info. More info on Thompson Speedway. Actually interesting to note, late afternoon conditions, so the sun's going to continue to dip down, and we may end up under an evening sky by the time this evening is over with. But what we saw right off of the get-go at heat race number 1 was that starting on the outside, not a terrible position to be in at Thompson, at least rate coming out of turn 4. Now, we saw it fall apart in 1 and 2, but if I'm Presley Sora, if I can stay alongside Edwards, keep that battle for 2nd going down into the quarter, just don't blow the exit, you've got a real opportunity to make some noise. And the 27 of Edwards, again, would have got to protect that very inside line for the opening lap of this heat race. Lights out on top of the pace car. Again, 10 laps, 3 cars moving on. We saw the top 3 positions on the grid in the last one to make it through without too much cause for concern. We'll see what heat race number 2 brings for us as the pace cars stand it in, and Hunter Johnson, teammates on the front row, both go at the same time. Well coordinated. Johnson, Mulrooney, and Edwards, 1, 2, and 3.
Good start for the top 3, but already attacking for 4th that time, Riley Thompson. That forced Sora to a lot of lost positions in the corner because of how high he had to take it. So Thompson being very aggressive here to try and get himself towards the bubbles. But remember, he hasn't made a single feature race so far in the first 2 races.
Well, same thing happened in heat race 1. Outside of row 2, completely missed the quarter, and Presley did the exact same thing there. So we're starting to see a trend, but it was very clear that those proximity cars on the front row went off of it together. Again, your control car dictates the start of the race, but obviously they coordinated that with one another, and it helped out Austin Edwards because it really caught Sora sleeping. So Riley Thompson goes P5 to 4. He'll be the one knocking on the door. Jackson Crowder in the number 5 position, but a lot more separation inside of those top 5 early in this one than what we saw in the first heat race.
Yeah, right now everyone separates single file. It looks like a lot of stable drivers too, as the track temp is starting to slowly but surely dip down from what they had in almost 5 degrees difference from the warm-up to now in this race. So it's the grip's slowly coming in on the racetrack. And Thompson looks like he's very comfortable here. He just has to be patient and stay into a positive and continuous rhythm because he is currently about a 10th back of what Edwards is doing per lap.
watching those times will give us a good idea that this race looks like it might just be able to run its course. Similar to what we saw earlier, there is a group at the back of the pack. Wisnowski and Sora not all that far apart, but he started this one, all 9 cars, still in one piece at least, past the cross flags point, but there is a big gap from Edwards in third, about a half a second behind Mulrooney in second, but also just a little bit more than a half a second ahead of Riley Thompson. So on the 27 machine, I'm not sweating all that much. Just keep it clean, keep the car underneath you. You should be good to go this time by 3 more laps.
Yeah, right now the proximity racing cars in that are 1 and 2 are looking very comfortable, matching line for line essentially. So I don't think you have to be worried too much about them. I'd be more worried around Austin Edwards' position because it looks like Thompson is slowly but surely starting to change the tide a touch. Looking like Edwards is a bit more tight on exit now in the late portion of this heat race. This time by, in fact, Thompson was about 9/100, about 9/1000ths quicker. I don't know if there's going to be enough time, though, as they reach the white flag this time by.
Final lap this time through. We'll see if anybody's got enough to make some noise, as Johnson has enjoyed the clean air, but maybe going to be concerned for that main event because, again, Mulrooney on the bumper has not allowed him to get any more than 2 car lengths apart, so those cars pretty even. Thompson going to drive in from 4th, not enough. So Johnson going to win heat race 2, Mulrooney second, and that dive late, not enough. Austin Edwards will hang on and transfer into the feature race.
Thompson will have to go to the LCQ along with Wisnowski. Also joining him in the LCQs will be Jackson Crowder, Presley Sora, along with Emmanuel Wolf and Preston McNeil. Those are the 9 drivers that don't advance out of Heat Race 2.
Now 6 drivers already on and into the main event tonight. Let's go trackside, take a look at Heat Race number 3, ready to roll. Andy Trupiano on pole position for this one. It'll be Trayton Lapsevich joining him front row. That'll be outside in second position. Martin Gatsoulis will start third with Alex Grates at number 4 position and Camden Weiss P5.
Dale Weekly will start in the 6th position tonight with Ty Ippolito in the 7th spot. Samuel Garcia rounds out the 8 drivers in heat race number 3. And this should be a competitive one. Keep an eye, though, Evan, though, on Trupiano. He was the only driver today to reach the 6s in practice, the 17 6s specifically. He's got a fast race car tonight.
That lap would have been about 0.6 of a second better than what he was actually able to get in qualifying. So we'll see if it was simple, just as simple as a mistake in a qualifying session or what the issue was for the 38. But he's got some work to do. P7 to get up to the top 3. That is a tall order for just a 10-lap heat race. And of course, even if you gain a couple of spots and feel like you have speed, nobody wants to go into that LCQ where, again, it is just the winner that moves on. So we'll see how all of this plays out for those cars as the pace car gets set to head down and in. The field is in the hands up to number 10 of Andy Trupiano on the front row. They were coordinated last time. This time it's the 10 on his own. Green flag for Heat Race 3. He'll pull out the distance to 1. And I thought maybe Gatsoulis wanted to challenge Lapsevich for second. He tucked back in line. They're bumper to bumper right on that straightaway.
Lapsevich had a bit of a check that time in the quarter apex of 1 and 2. I think tried to upshift, and that kind of backed things up a little bit. So all of a sudden, he's lost the ground to Trupiano, but he showed some good speeds. Both of these 2 drivers in the top 2 showed speed in their preparation for tonight's action, but Gatsoulis wants the challenge. Looks like Gatsoulis is a little bit more comfortable going into entry.
And if that would imply, of course, that he could have made that dive into 1, he flashed the nose, but squeezed back up into between Lapsevich and Great. So we'll see how all of this plays out. But the number 28 machine in 4th position, not all that far off of Gatsoulis. Trupiano, though, running away with it after that very good start, and some problems in the back of the pack as everybody's getting up on top of each other.
Yeah, they're about 3 wide where guys like Ippolito, Weekly, and Garcia are, and this is not going to help them have a shot at the bubble spot. They're losing tons of time. In fact, they are losing 2 to 3 tenths from how aggressive they're fighting, trying to get around Camden Weiss as well as themselves, essentially. This is not going to help. As we head back to the bubble spot, though, you can tell Gatsoulis is now pulling a little bit space now on the 28 machine.
Yeah, that's certainly what he wants to see as Trupiano's get way out in front. Lapsevich second, Gatsoulis third, and That number 28 machine is only 2 car lengths off. I still think that's a little bit too far back to go into the corner and, maybe initiate contact if this is going to come down to it. 4 more laps to go the next time by. But we saw cars taking each other out for not even a transfer spot at the end of Heat Race 1. So Grants needs more, though. He dropped about a half a car length there. He's got to turn it around quickly, but that 30 car is going to get out of reach.
That was actually a touch slower than Gatsua's last time by, and that bobble might take him out of reach. He's going to have to hope for a mistake or two, maybe Gatsua's to have a bobble himself off of turn 2 to be able to get enough momentum and speed to get back towards that bumper bar. With about 3 laps to go, 2 this time by, I don't know if he's going to be able to reach him.
Currently a tall order, 2 to go this time. Tripiano way out in front. He should be good to the end of this one, barring any mistakes. Lapsevich, Gatzulis, while the 30 cars keeping an eye on the rearview mirror with the 28 car. Don't get too content there. Again, the 18 machine's only a car length off, so you got 3 cars. 2 of them going to make it, 1 not in this group, but it does look like they're probably going to have enough distance. White flag in the air. The 30 car got the wall that time off for the quarter. So Gatzulis going to lose some time, but I don't think it is going to be a difference maker. And back to the front of the field, Andy Tropiano pulled a checker. Well done for the 10 car. He'll come off of the final quarter and win Heat Race number 3. Lapsevich moving on in second, and Martin Gatzulis weathers the storm and ends up in third.
Grants finishes off in 4th with Wakely, Weiss, Garcia, and Ippolito. The drivers not able to advance. Ippolito actually was nearly lapped before reaching the checker flag in Heat Race number 3. Pretty competitive one overall, though. This one's going to be even more so with a lot of big names in Heat Race 4 tonight, Evan.
And a couple of them starting deeper back in the pack. Let's look at your Heat Race number 4 starting grid. Max Cookson will bring this one to the green flag from pole position, and Colin Slife will start in second. Patrick Moose, third position. Spencer Dickinson starting from 4th, and your 2-time defending race winner, Parker Retzlaff's got some work to do. He's in P5.
Casey Drake also has some work in the 6th position on the grid tonight, with Andrew Ramos in 7th. Connor Hale not able to make the start. So 7 drivers will take place in Heat Race number 4. But let's really quickly talk about Parker Retzlaff here, Evan, because of course he is currently in the state of Missouri tonight preparing for the K&N East race this weekend.
He is, and of course, trying to keep his streak alive. Brought his entire sim rig and computer to the hotel with him. Just got back not all that long ago. It is a tricky setup for the 2-time race winner. What we saw last year in the Ignite Series was Garrett Lowe go on to win the first 3. Of course, Retzlaff has an opportunity to match that benchmark tonight, having won both the feature races at Richmond and at Bristol. But at every race so far, he started on pole and he's won it. That's every heat race and every feature. We haven't seen the 1 car have to deal with traffic. Of course, inside of the 3rd row, not the worst spot to be. The final transfer spot is going to be about 5 feet in front of him when they come to the green flag, but it is the first major challenge for the dominant car so far in these 2019 playoffs. The pace car is going to hop down it in, though. Let's see what Max J. Cookson's got on the front row in the number 2 car. Is he in the 4th car? Door banging already in 3 and 4, but we're off and away for Heat Race number 4. Good jump for Cookson. He'll lead to 1. Everybody single file, and Retzlaff, quick move to 4th. He'll now go to the inside of Moose and take it away. Just like that, Parker Retzlaff goes to 3rd.
And Moose was really out of shape that time, I think. Trying to cut to the bottom, and now Moose is making contact with Drake as he's around.
Patrick Moose at a 25. Problems in the back after starting 3rd. It was just not a good get-go to the race, and he made contact with the car in front of him as he turned Casey Drake around. Drake's machine took out more cars. Ramos involved in this one, Dickinson and others. So everybody at the back of the pack falling apart on one another as closer to the front of the field. We fight for 2nd spot. Retzlaff clearly has the speed justed. Again, almost immediately made up for that qualifying miscue. Went 5th to 3rd in the opening set of quarters, but he is not content yet. All over the back of Colin Slife at lap 4.
As mentioned with him, essentially, he's been busy throughout the day preparing for that K&N East race at the World Technology Raceway at Gateway. That means he hasn't had as much preparation, he said, for tonight, though we might see at races we've seen earlier at Bristol and Richmond. That means he has not had much practice time, is trying to get a bit of a rhythm. Looks like he's comfortable, and looks like because that bobble from Slife, he's going to have a shot for second.
He'll go to the inside. The 14 car steps up the lane and pretty much gave him the position, but he is not going to go away. 6 of those to the inside. Thought about a crossover. Not the smartest move, and I think the right call there by Slime to just tuck back in line. He does lose a little bit, though, off of the quarter there as we take a look at the plus-minus. Cookson started up front, still there, but Retzlaff up 3, Justin, is the biggest move we've seen into a transfer spot tonight. So far, drivers at the back have been able to make up some positions by cars wrecking out. But if you started top 3, you've been pretty safe. Completely different story tonight.
Yeah, in fact, I think that's one of the biggest we've seen all postseason so far. And Cookson's in the wall. This is going to allow Retzlaff to have a huge opportunity to try and take the lead. Mind you, Evan, these are his first non-led laps in postseason competition in 2019.
The 1 car, what a drive it would be if he can go on to win this one. It does mean to get a change of about 5 spots on the grid in the main event. If you win this Heat Race 4, you start 4th. Second in it would put you much further down the grid, I think at about 9th position or so. So it is a pretty significant change. So while they're both at a transfer spot, and you certainly don't want to jeopardize that, how hard is Retzlaff going to push for another Heat Race win? A white flag, last lap in Heat Race number 4. Still a car length of a difference. Cookson limiting the mistakes. Oh, and the 1 car overdrove it. Retzlaff all kinds of out of shape. It'll cost him too much track position, and Cookson gonna hang on. Another one pulled to checkers. Max Cookson wins Heat Race 4, but Retzlaff from 5th to 2nd will go feature race racing. Slife behind these guys, also moving on in 3rd.
Moose, Dickinson, Ramos, and Drake do not move on, though. All of them involved in that incident in the first couple laps. Connor Hale unable to make the start rounds out the drivers for Heat Race number 4.
One more down as we've already sent 12 drivers into the main event. Let's send 3 more for the 5th and final Heat Race tonight at Thompson. Donovan Straus, 5th best in the queue overall, means that he is the pole sitter for Heat Race 5. He'll bring us to the green flag alongside Dylan L. Parker, who starts in 2nd position. Reese Bayham will roll from 3rd. Vincent Arthur will start in 4th, and Mason Tessier from P5.
Tyler Marble will start in the 6th position tonight in Heat Race 5, while Jose Salas Jr. starts in the back row in 7th spot. Colton Salick rounds out the 8 drivers in Heat Race number 5 for what should be an absolute thrower. A lot of drivers looking to make some features. Of course, Bayham, remember, had multiple shots to make it at Bristol to the feature, just couldn't do so with some of the bumping and banging towards the final laps.
Not to keep harping on this point, but we kind of thought about it after those first 2, Justin, as the lights go on the pace car, and it's proved even more so in the last couple. The first 2 laps of this race are also critical for those cars on the 2nd and 3rd rows.
Very critical. Track position has been key throughout this entire postseason so far, and if you can get a good start and attack those positions fairly early, you'll be in a good position. It's just a matter from then on out to keep the car clean and keep a constant rhythm and make sure you're ready for potential dives and or contact. This is going to be an interesting Heat Race number 5. Should have to see how these top 2 launch.
Pace car's down and in. Donovan Straus is going to want to get out in front of the chaos. Oh, and we're beating and banging behind the 23. Already squeezing up and into the outside wall. Now Bayham's going to get tagged. He'll get spun around. The 16 cars with him. And Reese Bayham with a nightmarish start to Heat Race 5. Going to get taken out of this one. Straus still leading. Parker in 2nd, but how about the drive by Mason Tessier? He'll go 5th to 3rd and into a transfer spot early on.
Yeah, right now at a decent spot after that dive bomb move into turn 1. But Bayham is not going to be happy. That is, again, basically the 3rd event in a row in the past 2 weekends, I should say, that have had some type of contact. Now he's lost a lot of time from that. Bayham now 4 seconds back from that incident.
Well, like we said, start of the race, so critical, and will Tessier looking to become just the second driver to go from outside a transfer spot to moving on in these heat races, and just so happen to be again fifth on the grid like we saw Retzlaff do in the heat race prior to this. So inside seems to be the key. Of course, that's the way you want to get around this place, getting up to speed, but all the problems have been cars spinning up the hill and into the outside wall. Not the first time we've seen an opening lap incident. So Bayham's not completely out of this thing, but the problem is he's over 4.5 seconds off for the race leaders in fifth. So he would need issues for both Tessier in third, Salas in fourth, and I think those two cars are going to fight with each other. So in the 23, you want this battle to get physical. Salas lost a little bit of time that time out of a turn 4. So the gap between those two car lengths, final spot going on.
And it looks like Salas Jr. is actually bouncing up the hill off corner exit. I talked about that. If you end up putting too much throttle in, there is the chance, especially off turn 2, to plow tight, then snap loose right at the exit of the corner. That's what we've seen for the 5 machine. This time, not so much, and nearly got to the back bumper of Tessier. I think Salas Jr. might be a touch faster. Just needs a mistake like that.
He saw the 22 car go high. He drove it way in. It is going to affect him, though, on corner exit. 3 more laps to go. I agree that the 5's a little bit better, but can he execute a pass here? Can Tessier also handle the pressure? He's been leaving the inside open. There again, the 5 hunts a lane lower. Still not going to make a move, but within striking distance. 2 more laps to go in heat race 5.
And all right now, Salas Jr. has to do his timing up. Tessier is about a half attempt to a full 10 slower than him right now. And Tessier's been attacking 3 much more higher. If Salas Jr. can find a way to get to rotate on the bottom, he might have a shot here.
Here he is to the inside, side by side. Oh, and he's going to take him out. Salas got into the left rear of Mason Tessier, who goes upside down. And that's one way to do it for the 5 car.
Oh, and Parker also spun up for second spot. So this is going to definitely shake it up.
Yeah, the 11 car lost it. That was all on his own, challenging Straus for the race win. So the 9 car takes the checkered flag. Salas, who made the bump and run for third, ends up in second. And how about Reese Bayham? From 5th position late in this race, 2 cars in front of him get taken out. And after a horrible start, he finds his way in.
Salick, Arthur, Parker, Tessier, and Marble all do not move on. What a crazy final lap of heat race number 5. And you said it yourself, keep an eye on Bayham. And guess what? He's moving on to the feature.
A couple of sends, an overdrive, and 2 of the drivers who were in on the white flag don't even finish Heat Race 5. They go from basically being locked into the feature race to starting near the rear of a winner-take-all LCQ, which we are ready for now. It's LCQ number 1. So these are all the drivers who finished from 4th on back in their heat races. It is LCQ 1, followed by LCQ 2. Let's take a look at the starting grid for this one. Michael Bumgarner will be on pole position with Alex Gayetz on the outside in second. Colton Salick starts third. Sean Wisnowski will roll from 4th with Spencer Dickinson in 5th.
Mitchell Adams will start on the outside of row 3 in the 6th position with Camden Wee starting 7th. And after crashing from 2nd on the last lap on a self-spin, Dylan Parker will now have to start 8th in this LCQ. Presley Sora will start off in 9th with Casey Drake rounding out the top 10 starting positions.
11th position will go to Caden Rush. Ty Ippolito will start 3rd. Tyler Marble is 13th. And that is a complete look top to bottom at your LCQ number 1 starting grid. Another handful of cars at equal field sitting on the pit lane waiting to go. 2 more spots left in the main event, only one of which will be extended to a driver from this one. So with the 13, 12 are going home. And we talked about how critical it is in the championship picture to just make a main event. There's a lot on the line here in the 3rd race of the playoffs here from Thompson Speedway. But Michael Bumgarner's had a pretty good night, and he'll see the clear air in front of him. Let's see what the number 19 machine's got as he goes racing for a 12-lap LCQ. Green flag in the air with a lot of checking up behind him.
Yeah, Adams was caught sleeping on the back bumper of Sean Wisnowski, and that driver ends up also botching the corner, so both of them having some horrible starts to this LCQ.
Yeah, Wisnowski was way up and into the outside wall, so wide back of the pack as everybody struggles to find that braking zone early in these races, and they end up way out of the groove. And basically, you take yourself into this one very early on. All 13 that started, though, are able to get into it, and some of the best battle leads back in the pack. Spencer Dickinson, the 31 car. He's pitched on the inside. Oh, the 8's going to get turned behind him. Katie Rush gets tagged. He'll go around in front of the field after he got sent by the 42.
Now, it looks like contact from Sora right, basically on the left side bumper bar. Gets him just touch bit loose, and nothing you can do once that car goes around, but you just spin around. Lucky to keep going, though, without losing too much time. He's only about a second back from the next position.
Fortunate that nobody tagged him, but his night pretty much done because, again, only the race winner is going to move on in this one. And that's for Bumgarner out front already. Open up about a 9/10 of a second advantage over Colton Salick is second. We can't say that solo car mistakes are impossible. We saw it just before this, again, at the end of heat race number 5, Justin, but 19 car pretty much locked in now out in front. Salick ends up second through all of this after passing Alex Grantz, who's third, and then Sean Wisniewski still P4, where he took the green flag from.
Yeah, so basically, all that chaos has allowed this big-time advantage for Bumgarner. The question is, though, how long is it going to stick? He's reached the halfway point this time by, and they're going to potentially have to reach track because Presley Sora was bumped off the track off the 2. It is now just 10 car lengths in front of the race leaders, and the gap is closing fairly quickly, a 10th a lap.
That's what he wants, but does he have the enough time to do it? 10th of a second a lap sounds good, but you're not going to be able to get the job done if it stays at that interval with 5 more laps to go at Thompson. The gap grows a little bit from 74 100ths to a .772, so Bumgarner evened it out a little bit that time. So if the 15's going to find something, he's got to put down some fast laps, but I think he needs the 19 to bobble. That extra 2-lap difference to the heat races is nice, Justin, but that's only another 36 seconds on the racetrack, so it's not a huge difference.
Thing is, though, Salick hit the outside wall for turn 4, and that's going to potentially lose him a lot of time, at least a couple tenths. It's so easy to do at this racetrack. We're on the corner exit of turn 4. The wall starts out further out, then basically lifts its way in towards where it is at the start and finish line, which makes it so easy for drivers to just make that mistake of tapping it. Salick has now lost about a 10th and a half because of that contact.
Damage is not helping him. He isn't going to be challenged by Grantz and Wisniewski, it looks like, so he will still pick up some points, but again, for second on the back of this LCQ, you're losing out on over 20 points compared to those who make it to the main event, and that looks great. It's nearly spun his car in third position that last time, but for Michael Bumgarner out in front, he'll take the white flag, and one more time around in LCQ number 1 as he looks to get a big points haul from this evening. Nobody wants to go into the do-or-die LCQ, but the 19 car is going to make the most of this one. He'll win LCQ number 1 and is moving on to be the 16th car in the feature, and everybody else goes home. Salick second position, Grantz third, Wisniewski fourth, and Parker in fifth.
Dickinson comes away in the 6th spot with Weiss, Drake, Adams, and Ippolito rounding out the top 10. But talk about bad luck for guys like Rush, Marble, and Sora. They finish outside the top 10 and will get minimal points from this LCQ.
And their night, if any of those cars hadn't made it to a main event already this season, you got one chance left. They're all going to be looking to try to save their seasons next week at New Hampshire. Still one more LCQ to get through. Let's go trackside. Take a look at the starting grid for LCQ number 2. Riley Thompson on pole position for this one will lead alongside Patrick Moose, who starts in second. Sean Leisure will roll from third spot. That's the inside of row 2. Kayla Weekly to his passenger side in fourth, and Vincent Arthur rounds out your top 5.
Jackson Crowder will start in 6th spot tonight in this LCQ with Andrew Ramos on the inside in 7th position. Dominic Howe will start in 8th with Samuel Garcia and Mason Tessier rounding out the top 10 starting positions.
Emmanuel Wolf will roll from 12th. Connor Hale in, rather I should say Wolf is 11th and Hale is 12th. Steven Rosales 13th and Preston McNeil in 14th spot. Here's a look at your starting grid for LCQ number 2. And again, only one car from that list of 14 is going to move on. And Riley Thompson really needs some points in this one, Justin. Coming into this evening, 25th in the championship standings. Again, as we've noted, 23 cars have made a main event this year. He's one of those who has not, and he is over 28 points behind the lowest running car in the championship who has. So if the 13 car were able to get this LCQ win, he would instantly bump himself in to a playoff advancing position, because at the end of tonight and then at the end of next week in New Hampshire, only the top 30 of the 50 cars in the championship will get that invitation to the winner-take-all finale at Martinsville Speedway, where that $10,000 racing scholarship and a couple of real-life race car tests are on the line. Let's see what the 13's got for him. Pace car off and away, and Thompson with a good restart. He'll bring us to the green flag, but look at the drive by the 20. Sean Leisure rockets in the second spot as the 25 of Moose is struggling.
And they already had near contact. Moose is around the backstretch.
He just got way too high in turn 2. The 16 roughed him up a little bit. He got sent by the 40 car, and Patrick Moose for the outside of the front row to the very back of the field, just like that. Battle for the race lead is on, though. Here comes the 20 car.
And Sean Leisure looking to have some good speed again in that proximity racing machine. One of the top points runners so far this season. But we've mentioned Thompson. He's come close a couple times this season in the TDR machine to make it to the feature this postseason. He didn't feel like there's a lot of pressure. He's not too worried because of speed that he's shown tonight here. Now it's the matter, though, of defending, because Leisure has been one of the better drivers this entire postseason so far.
And let's see if the 20 is able to close. Of course, you saw him rocket out of the gate, and it isn't just a two-car fight as Thompson bobbles. There's a mistake by the 13. Here comes Leisure to the bumper. He'll move him up a little bit. So instead of going to the inside, Leisure moves him out of the way, and Thompson's into the outside wall. Leisure gave him a couple of hits for insurance, and the 20 car now going to go to the point at lap number 5. Vincent Arthur following him through, hot on his tail in second position. What heartbreak for Thompson that have major championship implications for the 13 team.
And the wall's now, Leader's now in the wall as Arthur tries to slide John.
Oh, and the 20 car got him back, so Arthur got around Sean Leisure after he made a mistake, drove by on the inside, and then Sean Leisure moved him out of the way also. Now the 20 car dropping again, and Riley Thompson in the 13 is somehow back to the race lead in LCQ number 2.
This is just unbelievable so far. Somebody's got to keep it calm, though, at this point. Arthur, it's obviously clear, is not afraid to use the bumper bar, and they're already crashing just outside the top 5.
So Thompson got moved out of the race lead. Oh, now the 16 is going to get turned. Vincent Arthur gets moved out of the way by the 29 of Jackson Crowder. It is no holds bar at Thompson Speedway. We've seen numerous points of contact. The 16 and the 20 are in winning. The 16 is not happy with Sean Leisure, and I would not be surprised if these two get into it before the race is done. There it is. The 16 takes him out. You could see that one coming from a mile away. Retribution for the bump and run earlier as Arthur dumps Leisure.
Oh, and Crowder's now in the wall.
That was second place, Jackson Crowder. He goes around after he got turned by the 22 car. I don't know if we've gotten a single lap without contact here at Thompson, but Riley Thompson is in front of the field looking for 2 laps to go as we try to keep up.
I don't know what to say at this point. This has been absolutely crazy. Now the thing is, though, Thompson's got to make sure he keeps himself clean. Tessier is obviously not afraid to use the bump and run to try and advance himself, and he is trying to send it hard in that 22 machine towards the back end of the 13.
Tessier has been one of the only cars not into contact, but I don't think that he's going to have enough time with a white flag in the air. He's 8/10 behind Thompson, who was leading, got turned, hung on to it, and all the cars in front of him took each other out once more. He drops back but is able to recover, and Riley Thompson wins in LCQ number 2. And that's the only good spin we've seen in this race as he celebrates in turn 1. What a relief for the 13, Justin. Thought that he was out of it, I'm sure. Emotions were running high, and then got another shot.
Well, Thompson said it himself. He was expecting something pretty crazy, and I think that was pretty crazy. Tessier finishes second. Wolf, Crowder, Weekly rounds up the top 5. McNeil, Rosales, Howe, and Garcia, along with Moose, finish in the top 10. Arthur, Leisure, and Ramos do not finish. What a crazy one.
Just trying to recover. What an LCQ number 2. We had seen instances of cars moving each other, and that's one of the points that we made, Justin, switching to these modifieds for the playoffs. These guys qualified in through the 8-race regular season in the Legends cars. If you joined us last year for the Ignite Series, the regular season and these playoffs were in the Legends cars, and you can beat and bang with those things. They got the bumper on the front end, but certainly you think of a car that can take a hit and keep on ticking, and it is the modified with those push bars all the way around. And I think there may be some penalties coming for those cars who got into some of the extracurriculars, but for as patient as people had appeared to be all night, very cautious to go to the bumper. What we saw there was really only 2 or 3 main points of contact, Justin, and then all the wrecks after that was the guy who got moved the first time paying it back. And I think at that point, if you're running P6 and I got, taken out as second or third, they're thinking, I'm not going to make it home, I'm sending a message, and I don't know if everybody's going to be on track next week for New Hampshire.
That's the main worry. I think you hit it on the head there. That was something discussed last year. The bump and run last year was avoided by many competitors in the Legends cars in 2018 postseason because drivers didn't want to have any grudges heading into Martinsville. Surprisingly this year, it's been a different story. A lot of drivers are not afraid to use the bumper bars, it seems, to try and battle for the transfer spots. And you can see some of the ramifications. Some drivers, I think, need to think the big picture because if you put yourself in position for penalties, that is not going to obviously put yourself into a good one.
Well, through all of that, if you've survived it this far, then I've got good news for you. You got a big points haul coming. Again, we mentioned at the top of the show that only 23 different cars have made a main so far this year, and we'll try to get a number on any new faces up in this main event, but if you're in this, you're in a very good points position regardless of where you finish. You can certainly make your name known and make your season a lot easier if you find some success. It's 30 laps on top of the scoring pylon. So let's go down trackside and introduce you to your feature race starting grid for round number 3 tonight from Thompson Speedway. Lucas Cram on a pole position. He'll bring us to the green flag in this one, joined by Hunter Johnson, who starts in second, Andy Tropiano third, Max Cook's in 4th, and Donovan Straus is 5th.
Dylan Alt will start in the 6th spot with Aaron Mulrooney Jr. starting the inside of row 4. Traden Lapsevich will start in the 8th position, one of his best starting positions in a feature so far this season, with Parker Retzlaff in the 9th spot. Jose Salas Jr. rounds out the top 10 starting positions.
Brian LaPrade will start in P11 and Austin Edwards alongside in 12th. Martin Gatzoulis gets 13th position. Collins Life will start 14th with Reese Baham back in 15th position. Just to put a bow tie in the field here, Michael Bumgarner from 16th and Riley Thompson in 17th. Your LCQ number 2 winner. So look top to bottom at your main event starting grid. 30 laps. I think a little bit more patience required in this one. It's still a short race, don't get me wrong, but certainly a little bit more patience required than what we've seen so far. You got to make the car last the distance 3 times longer than the heat races that most of these cars qualified through.
Yep, big picture racing essentially. You need to think about not just the points because you're going to get some good points secured for this race, but you also need to think about the tire wear. That's going to be the longest these drivers will have to race on the entire night, 30 laps the distance. They need to make sure they don't burn up the tires within the first couple laps to make sure they last to the checker flag.
Well, we've reached the pinnacle of the evening. Let's go feature racing at Thompson. Green flag in the air for pole sitter Lucas Cram. He'll lead on the battle for second. Johnson's going to get turned. Hunter Johnson in front of the field. He takes his teammate and a handful of others with him.
And that is not the way you want to start that. I think that just started with the car getting loose again. You mentioned there Johnson on that high line, and everyone just stacks up, and a lot of drivers with damage. Johnson already done, and just like that, the whole entire field has been scrambled up.
It was the 10 at Tropiano who initiated the contact. He was just following Lucas Cram. The problem is you can't follow the car that's single file in front of you. You got a car on your outside, so they both kind of drifted into each other's line, and when you're on the outside line, you're more susceptible to that side by side. Behind now for third as Parker Retzlaff is on a tear again. He'll get around Donovan Straus for third, started 9th position. Just 3 laps ago, he's now a top 3 car looking to keep his streak of feature race wins alive.
Now +6 since the drop of the green flag. Retzlaff looking very comfortable, and there's still a long ways to go. He can try and test himself, but at the same time, this is the first time, really all postseason, he's going to have to make passes for position in the feature race. So it's going to be interesting to see how he attacks Trupiano and Cram here to try and gain time. Last time, he was the fastest car.
We can't sit back and wait much longer. Issues at the back of the pack for the 27 of Austin Edwards, who is running in a top 10 position as he spins out. And I think he might have had some assistance with Colin's life, but again, we race on. And Lucas Cram is trying to get a buffer because Retzlaff wants to get the job done, but it is not going to be a walk in the park for him. 9th to 3rd is impressive, yes, and of course we saw his drive from 5th on the grid in his heat race, Justin, but going 9th to 3rd, I'd argue a lot easier than going 3rd to 1st. The speed starts to really stretch out when you get to your race leaders. I mean, Cram's nearly a second ahead of Trupiano, who's P2, and Retzlaff is having to give it 100% just to keep pace with the 10 car.
A lot of drivers, we've talked about this a couple times and mentioned the difficulty to try and find the best way to pass. It's different from track to track, but for tonight, don't be surprised to see a driver like Retzlaff try and just strategize, take multiple laps to prepare himself, to get himself in the proper spot. We've seen many times drivers hit the outside wall, open up the door, driver passes on the inside line. Don't be surprised if Retzlaff tries to pressurize guys like Trupiano into a mistake and then takes the opportunity and moves right on by for the spot. I don't think he's going to push too hard here. There's 20 laps to go this time by, still a ways to go.
And typically, I would think Retzlaff's concern would be getting hung up fighting for second, but in fact, the order of the fastest cars in your top 3 was reversed last time. Retzlaff, the fastest, then Trupiano, then Cram. In fact, 2nd and 3rd position while they battle with each other are closing in on your race leader. His advantage, that was at 8.5 tenths, is now down to just half a second. So Andy Trupiano may still have a shot to win this race. Certainly it betters the odds of Retzlaff, who stays with him. The question is, if you're the 1 car, do you get impatient? Do you want to get around the 1 before he catches Cram to be the one to meet the leader? Or do you stay back and wait this one out? Still 18 laps to go, so at least enough time on the board to strategize. Let's watch the intervals. Again, they go in favor of 2nd and 3rd.
I think right now I don't think he's going to use the bumper whatsoever right now unless it gets very anxious with maybe 5 laps to go. Right now, I think he's just going to go with the strategizing route, wait and look where he's faster, try and manipulate that to take an opportunity to try and make the pass if it's there. Because right now, the intervals are still going that same direction just about. Cram is a 10th slower a lap, so he's actually falling back to the 2 of them. So why push the issue and risk losing you time battling for second as much as a 10th a lap trying to go side by side? Just wait patiently for the right opportunity to strike.
We may see the most exciting and compelling feature race all playoffs long, because they're there and all the 1 car goes for it. Retzlaff, the bump and run. He'll move Andy Trupiano out of the way, and he did it cleaner than probably most of the bump and runs we've seen tonight. Got into him pretty hard, but the 10 car didn't get spun. He hit him square, and Retzlaff is now coming for Lucas Cram. 14 to go this time. Ample opportunity for the 1 car to close the door as he's off by 1 car length that time. Cram seeing that car closing in the rear view mirror.
They say the bump and run is an art, but here comes Retzlaff, got the run on the exit. Let's see if he can try and outbreak him.
Oh, he got him! The 7 car Cram gets turned, and he's into the outside wall after contact with Parker Retzlaff, who looked to the inside, and I think that 1 car didn't mean to hit him. I think he legitimately just had the position there, but very similar to the incidents we've seen on the restarts in these races. The car on the inside just pushed up a little bit. very sensitive part of the race car to make any contact on the left rear quarter panel. He was able to get into Trappiano pretty hard because he hit him square, but that contact on the quarter panel of Cram has sent the 7 car. He had no chance of hanging on to it.
Yeah, there was no intention whatsoever, I think, to make that type of contact. And that's very unfortunate, though, I have to say, with Cram, because he was having a strong race, and now Cram is all the way back in the 8th position from that. But for Retzlaff, it's a chance to try and pull away and see if he can take his 3rd feature win of the season.
And the 10 car is going to try to keep him honest, and now the 1 actually grazes the fence, so Trappiano's got an opportunity here. The 10 was the one who had been chased down by Retzlaff for the opening 3rd, and now it is a role reversal inside of the final 10. And listen, if I'm Trappiano, Justin, I know that the 1 car went in there and sent me, so if I don't have the confidence that I'm going to be able to get him, do I go for the bump and run sooner than later, or I have to take advantage of being only a car length and a half off of him before he gets too far away? And the 10 with a mistake. Trappiano's into the outside wall, and Retzlaff will double his advantage.
Well, that throws out the sooner part of the answer, I think, Evan. But I would honestly try and do it with either 2 to go or 1 to go, because if you do it too early, you allow the opportunity for Retzlaff to try and reel you back in and do the same thing, knowing that the bumper was used. So if you plan to do it and do it right, you wait until the final couple laps so you don't leave that opportunity for immediate payback on the table for your car.
And Trappiano now really starting to trail back. Aaron Mulrooney Jr. through all of this chaos. He moves into the 3rd position. Donovan Straus 4th, and Trayton Lapsevich P5. You see the other drivers, these are all the cars that have avoided the chaos. LaPrade up 5 spots, up 7 is Life. Bumgarner up 8 positions. So all of those cars from the rear of the field getting around the chaos. And look at us here, some solid points nights this evening at Thompson, but with 5 more laps to go, Trappiano is not going away. Still keeping Retzlaff honest enough at about a 3-car length difference, but if the 1 car were to make a mistake, I think the 10 would be close enough to do something about it.
Yeah, right now Trappiano looks a little bit quicker, especially off of turn 4. The thing is, he can't get it by getting a thousandth of a second faster or a hundredth of a second. He needs to find a way to close up a couple tenths in these next couple laps, or hope that Retzlaff taps the outside wall to lose himself some momentum off the corner. Otherwise, I think right now it is currently Retzlaff's race to control it to the checker.
You'll see 2 laps to go the next time by, and well, you want to talk about a different experience for Parker Retzlaff here compared to Andy Trappiano. It has been almost a walk in the park so far, these playoffs for the 1 machine, as Trappiano stays 3 car lengths back. Before tonight, Parker Retzlaff had started from pole and won every race. That means both heat races. That means both main events. 0 incident points all playoff long. But tonight he was challenged with a poor qualifying effort as we see the white flag. 1 more to go. He had to start from 5th in his heat race, was able to race his way in, and from miraculously 9th on the grid is going to be able to run away at the end and mends the benchmark set by Garrett Lowe last season as he wins the first 3 of them. Retzlaff, the Ignite Series winner tonight from Thompson.
A heck of a drive for Retzlaff, going from 9th to 1st in the feature race, and showed some great speed while doing so. Yes, he made some contact in this race, but overall, though, I think he did it for the most part. Not the intention, of course, to trying to dump the driver, but in the end, he tried to keep it as clean as possible and was able to get the checker flag as one of the fastest cars all night long.
And I know he's going to feel bad about the contact, and I suppose intentions only mean so much. You took the guy out, you took the guy out. I think it's going to be hard to convince the car that you spun around for the race lead that there's a huge difference in that. Intentions can only go so far. Results are what matter, especially in a series like this Ignite with a $10,000 scholarship on the line. I think Cram's going to be fine. He came into tonight 4th in the championship, but still, it is a big blow for him. Let's look at tonight's Race Spot TV full race results. Parker Retzlaff, your race winner, goes 9th to checkered. Andy Trappiano finishes 2nd, and Aaron Mulrooney Jr. is 3rd. We'll have an opportunity to try to chat with all of them in just a little bit. Donovan Straus comes home at 4th, and Trayton Lapsevich rounds out your top 5. Brian LaPrade finishes in 6th, Colin Slife in 7th, with Michael Bumgarner in 8th position, pole sitter Lucas Cram back in 9th, and Martin Gatzulis rounds out your top 10.
Austin Edwards finished off in 11th spot tonight, with Dylan Alt dropping all the way to the 12th position. The number 17 car, Riley Thompson, was the first driver lapped down in 13th, while Max Cookson did not make the starting grid, had to start from the pits, recovered 14th. Reese Bayham blew his engine and finished with 1 lap down on the board 15th. Jose Salas Jr., Hunter O. Johnson round out the 17 drivers in the feature tonight.
To look top to bottom at your Race Spot TV full race results, let's head down to eNASCAR Ignite Series Victory Lane, powered by iRacing, where Parker Retzlaff is once more a winner, tonight capturing the feature race checkered flag from Thompson. We're down with the driver of the 1 car now. Parker, congratulations on the win. What a different night, though. It had been, I think, relatively smooth sailing thus far. Pole the checker was the name of the game, but we knew it was going to be a different night when you started P5 in that heat race.
Yeah, I had a good qualifying lap going and ran into the wall. Just made a mistake, and it basically screwed everything from the start, and I had to drive a lot harder to get back. I never meant to have contact with Lucas, and I'm sorry to Lucas for that, but there was just nothing I could do.
It certainly looked like everybody tonight wasn't afraid of contact, especially, I don't know if you count the end of LCQ2 there, but people were certainly going after each other. But talk about at least the move to get in that position to battle for the race win, because you end up starting 9th position in this main event, and a theme of the night was issues off of the start. Company cars in front of you go out, and you end up in 3rd position. Got a pretty solid bump to the 10 car to move Andy up and out of the way, and then looked like you had established inside a position there on Lucas Cram just to try to make the move on the inside.
Yeah, I got there was a wreck in like the first couple laps that took out multiple cars, and I went from 9th to 4th on the first lap, and then passed my teammate Aaron for 3rd, and then it was just good, and I had to catch those 2, and then had a little bit of contact with Andy for 2nd, and then didn't mean to have contact with Lucas, but there was just no other way to pass tonight.
Well, you're in pretty good company. We noted off at the top that last year in the 2018 Ignite Series, we saw Garrett Lowe go on to win the first 3 races in a pretty convincing fashion. I'll leave off the part that he didn't end up going on to actually take home the championship, but literally as dominant of a start as we have seen with 3 in a row thus far. How does this position you going forward? Because you can win every single race, or you could finish 17th in all the main events in the opening round of these playoffs. It doesn't matter, because when we go to Martinsville, it's a total reset.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I'm trying not to make as many enemies because Lucas is already mad at me, and I don't know. I just hope he doesn't retaliate or do anything dumb next week, but sorry again to Lucas, but
we look forward to seeing what the rest of this series holds, and that includes next week from New Hampshire Motor Speedway. But I know you're busy this weekend with some K&N East duties at Worldwide Technologies Raceway at Gateway, and brought the rig with you to compete tonight, so we're happy that you were with us, Parker. Anybody want to say hi to from Victory Lane?
yeah, my uncle's watching. I'm pretty sure my parents are watching. My grandma's watching. All my friends. I know that I just got like 8 messages from my friends, and just thank you to everyone. Thank you to everyone that helps me with team proximity and everybody. And Splash and Go Graphics for their cool paint scheme. Trey Shuttleworth Images, and just everybody else who helped us.
We'll add one to the list as well, Parker. Congratulations on the race win tonight. We'll see if you can stay perfect. We'll see you next week, but as well, good luck this weekend.
Okay, thank you.
The race winner tonight from Thompson Speedway, Andy Tropiano, with a great run. The driver of the number 10 machine comes home in 2nd position, his 2nd top 5 of the postseason. Justin?
Yes, indeed. He's standing by with me right now. Andy, heck of a run tonight. We were talking a bit earlier about needing to basically not push too hard and put yourself in bad positions tonight. Yeah, put yourself in a good position coming away 2nd. How are you feeling?
Yeah, sure did. Felt really good about that run. Just wanted to take the chance to apologize to Hunter Johnson for getting into him there. Seemed like a bit of net code, but you never want to do that regardless. Just wanted to say sorry about that. But all around a really good day. Finally executed a pretty good qualifying run and was just able to hang up there in the race. And good job to Parker on the win.
Yeah, it looked like for most of the night you were executing like you were hoping to do here. How difficult was it to try and carry the speeds you were running throughout the evening to be able to put yourself in the position, of course, to come away with this top 5?
Yeah, it was really difficult. You just had to consistently hit your marks lap after lap, no mistakes, just keep clicking away.
And of course, on top of that, essentially, this also helps with your current positioning in the postseason. You come in with a great points position heading towards the final race before we head towards the final shootout, heading to New Hampshire. Your thoughts on your whole postseason as a whole with this top 5?
I think it's actually been really good. Still a little bit of room for improvement. Really looking to get that win before Martinsville, hopefully. Maybe next week at New Hampshire. But yeah, really solid postseason so far.
Now, before we head off towards the sunset for you, is there anyone you want to thank for being a part of your top 5 finish here tonight?
Just for sure for NASCAR and iRacing. This is a huge opportunity. Just want to thank them for giving so many great drivers the platform just to show their ability. And also to my team over at Lowline Racing and my teammate Reese Bahan for practicing with me.
Congratulations on the second place tonight. Your second top 5 in the postseason, Andy.
Thank you, sir. Have a good one.
You too. That was Andy Turpiano finishing second tonight, Evan.
Well, do want to talk about benchmarks? Let's go down and with our third place finisher this evening from the virtual Thompson Speedway, Aaron Mulrooney Jr. comes home with the best points result so far. Aaron, congratulations on a good result. Also started back in the pack and was a beneficiary of some of that early chaos. Seems like we saw a lot of that tonight.
Yes, sir, we did. Thank you for congratulating me. I really appreciate it. I mean, frankly, through the whole eNASCAR Night Series, we've had some issues with crashing, but I'm glad I was able to make it through there and get a third-place finish for Proximity Racing. I'm pretty proud to be on their team.
You guys have certainly had a good showing thus far, and again, not your first feature race so far, so even came into the season with a very good points position. We've been talking a lot about how last year, I think we saw only 31 cars actually make a feature of the 50 eligible drivers, and it's a huge points jump, so just to get into one feature puts you in a very good position. I mean, even a top 3, I mean, that much better. So you guys are very well primed moving forward. How would you assess the season for you thus far, and what the outlook is to New Hampshire with one more race left before it gets really serious?
Yeah, thank you, Evan. I mean, honestly, with how I am in points now, getting this third position finish, I'm just looking forward to Martinsville, honestly. New Hampshire is a good track for me. I really like racing there, and I think I'll be able to practice this week and just grind it out and hope I can get another third place finish.
Anything that you can learn at New Hampshire going into Martinsville, or are they so different from one another that it is going to be maybe, some focus certainly to get a good showing next week, but does the serious testing at the paperclip begin already?
Yeah, I would say the testing at the paperclip has already begun, honestly. I mean, Thompson is a very challenging track to drive. Very few drivers can get through this track, and, they can be wheelmans at it. I mean, I practiced a lot for Thompson, and I'm glad with the result we came out with. And, I mean, I like New Hampshire, and I think New Hampshire is sort of like Martinsville, honestly, except for the fact that it's a little bit bigger and a little bit wider. So if I can improve at New Hampshire, I'll probably improve in Martinsville.
We look forward to seeing what the rest of this playoff holds for you guys with the great start. Aaron, before we let you jet, anybody you want to say hi to?
Yeah, definitely. I definitely want to thank Proximity Racing, Splash and Go Graphics, Trace, Shuttlesworth Images, All Serve Garage Doors. Definitely you guys for putting this on. I mean, it's pretty cool to be, on NASCAR and on Twitch and Facebook. I think that's really cool. It's always been like a dream of mine to be on, be in NASCAR and be on TV. I think it's pretty cool, help get this public. I also want to thank, obviously, iRacing, NASCAR, and you guys, RaceSpot TV, for putting this on. I definitely also want to thank God because he put me here, and I'm glad I have this opportunity.
We're in a very good position to fight for an officially NASCAR-sanctioned championship after the way these first 3 weeks have gone, Aaron. Again, congrats on a good showing tonight. We'll catch you next week.
Thank you. Have a good one. Thank you.
Yep, third place finisher this evening from Thompson, Aaron Mulrooney Jr. Best finish so far for him in the open round of the postseason. Just down trackside with the car who comes home at a fourth. That's Donovan Straus.
Yes, indeed. I'm standing by with Donovan. Strong run for you tonight, Donovan. How does it feel to come away with this top 5 just 2 seconds back of that race victory?
It felt pretty good from our 11th place finish at Bristol. I told myself I was going to rebound pretty good from Bristol after, I didn't qualify good, didn't put the heat together, and I didn't do good in the feature. And I made sure I had to practice on hot lapping and came out tonight and put on a good performance.
Yeah, I was about to say you were one of the top drivers in practice throughout the day today from what I've seen on the boards. How tough was it to try and maintain that pace as the race went on, and then, of course, put yourselves into positions to be able to make passes to continue to progress up the board?
Yeah, it was pretty hard to pass. I just focused on, like I said, hot lapping. I didn't really put a race run together, so I didn't really know what to expect. But track seemed to get a little bit tighter. Car got tighter. With the incident with Lucas and Hunter, I got some spots there, and I just kind of cruised to 4th.
Now, of course, this is, again, a second top 5 on the schedule so far for you this postseason. We're heading off to New Hampshire, the last of the 4-race stretch before we head to the final shootout at Martinsville. What are your expectations heading into New Hampshire, a track which is one of the longest, if not the longest, we'll see this postseason?
Yeah, like Aaron said, I'm more focused on Martinsville a little bit, but New Hampshire will definitely be a drafting place. You'll see cars more together. It'll definitely be an interesting race, but I'm going to continue to practice, get as good as I can be, and just keep going.
Now, before we let you go, is there anyone you want to thank for being a part of your 4th place finish here tonight?
Yeah, I want to thank Vicente Salas for spotting me, One Sim Motorsports for everything they do, Rogue Energy, Splash and Go Graphics for this awesome scheme, and just everyone for believing in me.
Congratulations on the top 5 finish tonight, Donovan.
Thank you.
That was Donovan Straus finishing in 4th position tonight. The next man on the list that came away with the top 5 is a notable one for multiple reasons. It's also his first top 5, Evan. I believe you're standing by with Traded Lapsovich. I believe so.
Down right now with the driver of the number 18 machine. Trayton, congratulations on the top 5 finish. Good night for you overall. Started second in your heat race and easily cruised on in and found yourself in some traffic early on in this one as you come home P5.
Yeah, it was a great night for us. We've had to overcome some adversity through the first couple races, but a top 5 will take it. We're sitting pretty good in points for the season finale at Martinsville.
You came in already with an appearance locked down in a feature race, so big bump in the points, and I think getting into 2 main events all but locks you into Martinsville. But, I mean, this was a crazy race, and I know if you look at it from way up above, it kind of looks like the season finale at the paperclip, but, of course, very different racetracks when it comes down to it as far as the lines you guys are taking. What was the experience out there on track tonight?
Thompson's a very tricky track. It's really hard for passing, and I think that's why we had a lot of incidents tonight. It was a very loose setup as well. It made it tricky for us racers, but it brought some good racing, but also some rough racing too. But I was able to get through it and grab a good finish.
You mentioned the contact. We've heard a couple of people mention post-race so far that, because you're racing with the same guys every Thursday night, you don't want to make people angry, especially when, the championship comes down to just one race. How do you factor that in when you're racing around guys close quarters with these cars, again, transitioning from the Legends to these modifieds in the playoffs, a car that can kind of lend itself to be one that you like to use the chrome horn with?
Yeah, like a lot of us practice together throughout the week. We try not to pick our battles. A lot of us try and stay clean for the most part, and at Martinsville for the big prize, the chrome horn could definitely come into play. So I've just been trying to keep to myself throughout the season, and I think it's done pretty well for me so far.
Very well, as you're in a comfortable points position going forward. 5th place, though, tonight from Thompson. Anybody you want to say hi to while we've got you?
Yeah, I gotta thank Zero Gravity Racing, Matt Kingsbury, John Verga. They both were in the spotter stand for me tonight.
Certainly, big shout-outs to them for getting you to this place. Again, it is a great result. 5th place, best for you guys in the postseason, Trayton. But 3 down, 2 to go, and a very critical one coming up next week. Your last chance to really show us what you got before the second round of the playoffs. We wish you the best of luck. We'll catch you in New Hampshire.
Yeah, thank you. And also, I just got to thank iRacing and NASCAR and everybody that puts this series together. It's great to be a part of it.
It was certainly an exciting one for the third round of the playoffs. That's your fifth place finisher this evening at Thompson. And a big thanks, as always, to everybody who came home in the top five for giving us some time post-race. For race winner Parker Retzlaff, for Andy Trippiano, Aaron Balrooney Jr., Donovan Straus, and Trayton Lapsevich for giving us some insight. Justin, always good to hear from behind the helmet, per se, and especially tonight. I know that we mentioned it was late afternoon conditions. We started the race into the evening. The lights were shining. We saw fireworks on and off the racetrack, certainly in this installment.
Yeah, this was an absolutely wild night, to say the very least, with a lot of the battling and a lot of the incidents. But this is a chance now from here for the next week or so for drivers to kind of reset, calm down, and try and think big picture, because you still have New Hampshire as well before you head off to Martinsville. You don't want to carry grudges forward and potentially hurt yourself for the main race at Martinsville. So drivers have to start thinking a little bit stronger here and a little bit smarter as we head off to the next couple weeks or so as we set ourselves towards Martinsville. But a lot of drivers, though, Evan, I think are going to have to be a bit worried with that with the playoffs now, because 28 drivers now have 40-plus points. Everybody else, 28 ninth on back, have not made a race so far. For those drivers with that fourth race on the schedule coming up, it's going to be make it or break it time to try and get yourself to the feature if you want a shot to go to Martinsville.
And it's funny, after the opening 3 rounds of the playoffs last year, we also had 28 cars to have made it to a feature race. So there are up to 2 spots. Of course, though, if we have 3 new names, that means that somebody who has gone feature racing this year is not going to be able to move on. You're not going to want to miss that one from New Hampshire Motor Speedway. And, of course, just the New Hampshire, very different racetrack from Martinsville and all the other ones. It is a big way around the Magic Mile, and it'll be coming up next Thursday. And we hope everybody joins us as we'll finally get a solid number on the 30 drivers who will fight for the championship and have a chance to walk away with a $10,000 racing scholarship. Not bad if you're in that 13 to 16-year age bracket.
Yeah, absolutely right now. It's a good prize pool and a good opportunity as well to jumpstart careers, whether it's drivers that are looking to get more opportunities in real life or, once again, their first opportunities in a real-world race car. So it's extremely important for a lot of these teams and a lot of these drivers to try and get New Hampshire right if you're towards that bubble, to make sure you make it into the top 30 to put yourself into a chance to win the prize.
And we look forward to that one. You still got more eNASCAR action coming up if you don't want to wait till next Thursday. How about Tuesday, August the 27th? It is the playoff opener for the eNASCAR Pecan Fraser iRacing Series. You can find a coverage for that one right here on RaceSpot TV and the iRacing Esports Network. But that'll do it for us here tonight from Thompson Speedway. On behalf of our entire team at RaceSpot TV, for the folks at iRacing and eNASCAR, I want to thank you for tuning in. On behalf of myself, Evan Pasoko, Justin Prince, and our producer, Randy Cheneth. Congratulations to Parker Retzlaff, who is a perfect 3 for 3. He'll try to become the only driver to sweep the opening round of an Ignite Series playoff. That'll come next week on Thursday, August the 29th. From the virtual New Hampshire Motor Speedway. That race and every race of this 2019 eNASCAR Ignite Series, powered by iRacing, can be found right here on RaceSpot TV and the iRacing Esports Network. Until next time, good night from Thompson, where it's Retzlaff in victory lane again.